Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Jeremy McWells. Welcome once again to our CGU guest speaker series. Here today I have a special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a second, but really just a reminder, the purpose of these videos are just to give you all some insight on our programs and our faculty members here. Like I said, we have a very special guest today. I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself and we'll go ahead and get started.
I did the shimmy.
Yeah.
My name is Dr. Torie Weiston Serdan, and I'm the director of the Community Engaged Education and Social Change Master's Program.
Just to full context here, Torie, Dr. Weiston was my high school teacher, and so this is going to be a really fun video for both of us. So I'm hoping that you feel that energy through the camera. So Dr. Weiston, I'm hoping that we can just start off with your story, essentially. How did you get to the School of Educational Studies? Where did you start off, and ultimately how did you get at this particular position?
Right. So I'm a returner. I actually grew up here in the IE. I graduated from Claremont High School right up the street. So part of my story is just having always been a part of the Inland Empire community, being born and raised here, literally being raised here. Having taught here. I'm a high school English teacher. It's been 15 years now. You're not that old. You were later on in my career,
yes,
right?
Yes. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes. But doing that, and I actually came here to get my master's, so my master's in teaching credential out of the School of Educational Studies, and I stayed on to get my PhD. And I don't remember which of those programs I was going through when I taught you.
PhD, I believe.
Was it the PhD?
I believe so,
yeah. So I've just kind of always stayed connected to the Claremont Colleges community. And when I was called about this position and I heard what kind of program it would be, I was just like, this is my work, right? Just again, being connected to the Inland Empire community, having been brought up here and having always been involved in mentoring youth or teaching youth in some capacity here, like having that be a part of who I am, I thought this program is going to be the perfect fit because it's another extension of that work. Yeah.
Right. Are you going to miss teaching high school kids? I know, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but you're still going to have your hands there. But are you going to miss actually being in the classroom with high school students?
Absolutely, because young people are dope. Young people keep you young.
Yes.
Everybody keeps saying like, "How old are you?" Yeah, I'm not aging because I'm around young people all the time.
That's very true.
I don't know what's going to happen in these higher ed spaces.
A little different.
The grades might start coming out some more.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes,
yeah.
But I am gonna miss young people just because they're so energetic and charismatic, and they keep you fresh.
Right.
I always know all the new slang because of young people.
Yes, absolutely.
I always know all about the sneaker game because of young people.
Yes.
So those things I will miss, but I don't see myself leaving young people. I just see myself leaving the classroom.
Yeah, and I think in what I was referring to earlier that, you're leaving the classroom, but you're not leaving that demographic entirely. So you have your Youth Mentoring Action Network. And so talk a little bit about that. How did that come about? What is really your passion and how does that connect with your current organization? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Youth Mentoring Action Network, I co-founded in 2007. So early on in my teaching career, actually. And the reason I ended up creating that organization was because almost immediately as a teacher, I recognized that there were limits on what I was able to do. And so I would see things that I wanted to sort of create or I wanted to build, and I was always kind of going up against this wall of bureaucracy. Like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, there's insurance this or liability that, or you don't have money for this. And I just thought, okay, there's got to be another way. And I always tell people, especially when I'm in nonprofit spaces, that I had no intention of being a social entrepreneur. Business was never on my mind.
Right.
But I just knew that as a teacher, I was limited. And so I ended up founding the Youth Mentoring Action Network. And what we do is we leverage mentoring in the fight for equity and justice to do critical youth work. So to really work with marginalized youth populations in ways that make sense to them.
Okay.
And we're really big on being youth-centric, so everything we do is in collaboration with young people. There's no such thing as we do mentoring to young people. It's not this top-down situation. It's about collaborating with young people on their own, in their own process, and in their own freedom. And so that's just something that the four walls of a school would never allow me to do. So I'm really excited about continuing that work, even as I do continue or start the program here. But yeah, that work is hard work.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so tell us about some of the events that you have done in the recent past or stuff that's coming up. Consider this to be a plug, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually right now we have two major initiatives. We have our Black Girls Initiative and we have a Health and Wellness Initiative. And we're working with young people all over the IE. We actually just had on Wednesday a self-care workshop for Black girls. So we brought in an MFT and she actually did social, emotional, exercises, et cetera, with the girls. We talked about esteem and concepts of beauty and all of those things that sort of as young Black girls you struggle with. Sure. And the next thing we're doing is actually taking young girls to a place called the Self-Care Lab, which is a really dope spot. It's a boxing gym in Pomona. It's also run by an MFT, and she utilizes boxing basically for trauma and other kinds of mental health and wellness. Her mantra is, therapy beyond the couch. So just again, learning how to, in this program, like really learning how to build with the community around us and utilizing what we have here in our spaces. So teaching even the young people, like this work is here. You don't have to go anywhere else, right? And so just doing a lot of those kinds of events and exercises to get young people healthy, to focus on who they are, and really like making no apologies about saying, I want to help Black girls or I want to help other marginalized youth populations. These are services that they need and these are services they deserve. And that's what we're doing.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And I know while that is one part of your life, now transitioning into the other part of your life, which is here at CGU. So you're leading the Masters in Community Engaged Education Social Justice.
Yes.
the
long
title. There are many Masters in Education programs out in the market. What
Right.
makes yours, the one that you're leading, so different than the others in the market?
Right. Well, I think the name says it all. It's community focused. It's community centered, right? The work that I even talked about earlier in terms of my story, being an educator, being a social entrepreneur, trying to figure out how to navigate both of those worlds, that's what I'm bringing to this master's program, is trying to get people to understand that there is a link between education and community work and even government work, and that those three should be working together, right? What I really want to do or to accomplish with this master's program is to give people an understanding of where they can fit in either of these, and also to help them kind of, and I see this in my path, to help them understand that there's not one way to teach and one place you can teach in, right? I think when people think Masters in Education, they think, oh, well, you have to be a teacher, you have to be a higher ed professor, et cetera, but not recognizing that, like, I'm not gonna stop teaching, by not being in the classroom. I'm still gonna be working with young people. I'm still gonna be impacting their lives. I'm gonna be informing the work that schools do, right? I'm just not going to be in a school. So this program is really about trying to figure out a way to marry schools, government, community. How can we work together? This master's program is for social entrepreneurs, it's for philanthropists, it's for activists and movement makers. I mean, this is really a place for us to hone skills and arm ourselves with the language and the resources that we need to do transformative work in our communities.
That's amazing. It seems that the program itself is very flexible, very adaptable to anybody who's very interested in this type of work.
Absolutely.
What's been the reaction when you tell people about this particular program? I know from a recruiter standpoint, we get really positive reactions, but in your personal experience, how has the reaction been?
So far, it's been good. I mean, one of the first things I hear is like, there's a program for that, which is exciting. And I'm like, yes, please, come to California, come get it, right?
Yes.
But I think a lot of the people that I interact with, especially in the social entrepreneur space, they either are looking for a program like this or wish they had a program like this when they were doing their masters, because they could see how it would have been helpful for them. So I get a lot of surprise looks. I post a lot of things on social media, and I posted like some stuff that I did in my class one night about the nonprofit industrial complex. And the social entrepreneurs on LinkedIn were like, hey, where can we get this class? So it's just kind of making those real world connections with folks that are on the ground so that they don't see higher ed as this distant sort of ivory tower.
I like it. I'm gonna go ahead and repeat a mantra that you all use in school educational studies. Walk the walk. When I say that, what's the first thing that you think of?
I think about doing the actual work. Theory is great, and theory has a place, right? but what does theory look like in action? How are we living theory in our communities, right? So when I hear walk the walk, it's, again, it embodies what I've tried to do in my life is, not just talk about teaching, but teach, not just talk about building strong communities, but getting in there and actually doing that work, right? So as much as the School of Educational Studies and any other higher ed community can be a part of the actual grassroots community and what's happening, the better.
Great. And you kind of touched on this already, but I just want to I don't want to go over that too quickly. The concept of social justice in a school such as educational studies, I feel like that might be a little new to people, something that really hasn't really been discussed or talked about or focused on. What do you feel like the role of social justice really does play today and moving on in the future in a program in a school such as this?
Yeah, it's of the utmost importance. For me, I remember even getting my master's degree here, there was this constant conversation about social justice and equity, et cetera. Now we're using even more radical words, liberatory education, abolitionist education, right? All of those things that are really important to me. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to recognizing that education as a system is a gatekeeper. It's a political space, whether we like it or not. Like I hear my colleagues say, well, we can't be political. Teaching in and of itself is political, so there's no way that you can get away from that. So having a constant mindset of equity, having an understanding of intersectionality, marginalized populations, what that means, right? All of that matters for how you walk into an educational space, how you're dealing with young people, how you're interacting with their families and their communities. So for me, it's a starting point. Like it's not even, we don't have a discussion unless equity is in your language, right? So social justice, equity, that has to be there for me in order to be any kind of educator.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more, and I feel like at CGU especially, you do hear within almost every department that social justice, that advocacy, you hear that all throughout the campus and all throughout the program. So I think they were spot on with that. My last question for you is, why CGU? You were a student here, you now teach here, you've come full circle. If you met a student out on the street that's interested in graduate programs and not even interested necessarily in your program, but wanted to come to a place like CGU, essentially what would you say to that person?
I think it's a beautiful place and a solid place to get things done. I mean, my education here was full of folks with critical mindsets, critical perspectives. I mean, in every university, you kind of have to navigate and find your folks, as we say. But I think CGU has more than enough of that here that would warrant people who think like me, think like you, to come here, right? And again, I always tell people, like, it's California. It's Southern California. It's warm. It's beautiful. Claremont's a beautiful place. If you're going to do critical work, if you're going to work hard, because we know we're doing that in master's programs and PhD programs, do it in a space like this where you have access to resources, where the faculty is top notch, right? And where the name is going to mean something, right? Like I haven't found a closed door anywhere in any of my educational career, because I've been in education the whole time. That once I say CGU, people are like, "Oh, you're good."
Automatically,
right?
Automatically, yes, absolutely.
So,
thank you for your time. I really do appreciate you coming down and being part of this interview. This was great for me. I hope it was great for you as well. Coming full circle once again.
This is just crazy.
And thank you all for tuning in. Once again, this is a part of our CGU Guest Speaker Series, so be on the lookout for future videos. And as always, we'll see you next time. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. If you love this video, make sure you check out our upcoming events at www.cgu.edu. Don't forget that the priority deadline is November 1st. Right after that, our fall open house, which is November 2nd. If you want to register, make sure you click the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel here at CGU. Take care.